How have making these documentaries changed your life in any way? Specifically Sharkwater and Revolution.
Oh, these movies have changed my life in the most profound ways.
Yeah.
When I started Sharkwater, I was 22. I'd never shot a video camera before. I didn't really know what I was capable of. I was, very much a kid. And I thought I had a great career and a great life ahead of me. And by jumping in to make a movie and to try to do something so much bigger than I was doing in the photography world, it called out the best in me and made me rise to the challenge and become a better person and become a better communicator and kind of fall in love with people in a way. Because by the time we were done releasing Sharkwater, I'd seen the public react to the film and to fight for sharks and saw government policy change. And that kind of showed me that people are good in a way and will do the right thing once we know what's going on. So the movies have been a really profound and beautiful life experience for me, showing me that, we can change the world. We're enormously powerful. We just, haven't tried as much yet.
Exactly. That's a very good outlook. So, another question here. So, as a marine biologist, what exactly got you into making films and photography?
So, studying marine biology, it was pretty clear to me that I didn't want to spend my life in a lab studying animals in aquariums or anything like that. So I started thinking about what other, possible careers I could go into that would make use of my talents and be fun. And I landed on wildlife photography and thought that would be the best job in the world because I get to travel and take pictures of animals and hang out underwater. And it was amazing. But everywhere I went to take pictures of all of my favorite species, they were all getting destroyed.
Oh, no.
All the sharks were getting killed. The monkeys were in trouble. It was just really clear to me that taking pictures of animals wasn't what the world needed right now, and wasn't enough. So I figured, especially finding out that sharks were being like that if you saw Sharkwater, you actually saw the kind of inciting incident of my life at that point, where I found a fishing line that would stretch from Earth to outer space in the Galapagos, and quickly, realized something bigger has to be done on this. And so at that point, I couldn't get the word out, and I couldn't change the public's perception of sharks with magazine articles and newspapers.
Yeah.
It wasn't big enough. People were so afraid from Jaws and from movies that I had to kind of battle a movie with a movie.
Yeah, all that bad publicity they were getting was not helping at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm very glad you made Sharkwater. That was a very good film, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate the compliment.
So what are the main messages that you try to convey through your films? Like, what do you feel you're trying to put through?
I'm trying to give people a love of life, because it's life that gives us our food, our water, and our air, and it's life that the reason why we can survive on this planet. Yet we've, been building systems and systematically destroying life on Earth for quite a while. And so the main messages are, we need to protect life if we're going to survive on this planet. And I think the reason why we have feelings for these animals and we feel good about engaging in stuff that's good for the planet and bad about engaging in stuff that's bad for the planet is that our humanity can guide us to a world that works. So right now we're focusing on education, because once people understand a problem, their morals engage. And the greatest predictor of human behavior is what our peers expect of us. So as soon as our friends and our family are educated, then it's our humanity that can guide us to a world that works.
Exactly. I could even say, like, as a student, like, when you know more about something, it becomes a lot more interesting and you get a lot more involved, and it's a good strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, because, we know how to solve the problems that we're facing right now. We're not solving them. So if we're not solving them, then it's just people that don't understand the significance of what's going on that I think is the problem. And if we can bridge that gap with education, then we can do a great deal of good.
Awesome. All right. So, what are some of the things that someone can do to contribute to changing the world on a big scale or a small scale?
The biggest thing is education, because every revolution in the past was led by the people most directly influenced by the atrocity. So women had to hit the streets for women's rights, and black people for equality, and right now it's the youth's future that's at stake. So if you tell a 60-year-old politician that by the middle of the century will have no fish, no reefs, no rainforest. He's just going to, it's not going to affect him the same way it's going to affect someone like you or someone like me who's going to be here.
Yeah.
So education is the most important thing. Once the public generally understands what's going on, then our morals engagement will starve the corporations that are destructive, and will feed the corporations that are good. And we also kind of need to dedicate our lives to this. So in a time when the environmental predicament looks pretty grim, we've been fighting against our problems for so long. And I think that's been one of the fundamental mistakes we've made, is by fighting against pollution and against climate change and against industry, we're fighting the biggest corporations in the world and the governments that have been funded by them, and we're kind of stooping to the level of the problem. And if you're a young person looking at the climate change ambitions for the UK or for America, they would celebrate a 10% reduction in emissions.
Yeah.
But a 10% reduction in emissions, knowing that we've eaten and consumed almost everything, would buy ourselves like 0.5% more time on a hugely degraded world. So I think that the challenge of youth and the challenge of our environmental movement right now is to imagine a world that's beautiful enough to fight for it. Like, what would the world look like if we designed it to work for us and all species? We produce food locally. What if all the rivers and the lakes and the oceans were teeming with fish, and that's where we got food from? Like, what if we got it right? I think we need to imagine that world and fight for that.
That would be pretty great. So, back kind of on the topic of sharks specifically, how can someone try to stop the killing of sharks, and especially when it's happening in a different country where they have their own rules and their own regulations and they're totally separate from, like, our lives?
The two biggest issues with sharks right now that we can address as individuals are getting bans on shark fins worldwide and producing demands for shark fins. So when Sharkwater came out, there were 16 countries that had banned shark finning. Now there's more than 100.
Wow.
And shark fin imports to China have dropped 70%.
Jeez.
Things have gone in the right direction, but still, it's not illegal to own shark fins in most of the world. So the task that needs to happen right now is a worldwide ban on shark fins, just like there have been bans on ivory in the past. Because you can't tell what fin is from a fin shark and what isn't, and because most shark populations have declined so radically, we've got to ban shark fins. So there's an organization out there that's called Fin Free, which works to empower kids to be the change they want to see in the world and show them how to get bans on shark fins. So that's one of the most important ones, because as soon as the world bans shark fins, it'll be really difficult to move shark fins around, and then people won't make money off of them, and then the fishing of them will decrease. But we also need to decrease the demand for shark fins. So that's working in China to educate the public and show them that, the consumption of this dish is decimating one of the world's most important predators. And there's an amazing organization called Wild Aid who is doing a lot of great work in China on that front.
Very nice. Awesome. So, do you think that there's any role that the United Nations could play in to prevent sharks from being killed or to prevent ocean acidification and deforestation?
Absolutely. Yeah, the United Nations, so one of the climaxing scenes in Revolution was at the UN climate conference in Cancun, Mexico. So the UN brings world leaders together to, try to talk about what's going on, and if the UN were to take a slightly different stance and try to push these government leaders to do something, that would achieve a lot. Right now, the UN is, at these conferences is more just like a venue. It's like the hotel. You know what I mean? Yeah. They don't as much try to push the governments to do something. So the UN has a massive amount of power, but I feel like maybe for it to be more successful, we need to engage in it more. We need to, communicate with the UN as a public. We need to push our governments. So, like at the climate conferences I've been to, we haven't achieved any treaties or anything beneficial for the environment whatsoever. But I think we could achieve something for the environment if the public called their governments and said, "You've got to come to a deal with these things." And it's the same thing with shark fins. If the UN were to take a stance on shark fins and say we should ban shark fins worldwide, then that would be a platform that other countries could start fitting themselves into.
Be a good spark. Awesome.
Mhm.
So you yourself have obviously spent a lot of time with animals and with other species. So how do you think that the relationship between a human and another species can affect your mental health?
I think it's massive. I think it's massive, and all the psych studies show how good it is to, have a pet or pet a dog or pet a
Hmm.
cat. And I just got a dog maybe a month ago,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. It's amazing. You get to wake up in the morning, and there's something there that loves you so much and is so excited to see you, no matter what the case. I think that's massive. And one of the most amazing things about seeing nature in the wild is that sense of awe that you get of like, wow, this world's amazing. There's 500 hammerhead sharks all around me.
Yeah.
I'm at an undersea volcano in the middle of the Pacific. It's kind of, I think it might be good for mental health because it kind of relieves a little bit of the mayhem that could be going on in your head of,
Exactly.
you know, the world is this way or I should be this way. You get to step out of that for a while and see some of, 3.7 billion years of evolution.
Very interesting stuff. So in your film Revolution, I remember you were stranded out at sea for quite some time. So can you describe what that was like? Like, were you terrified for your life, or were you confident that, someone would come to find you?
That was the most terrifying experience that's ever happened to me,
Really?
for sure. Yeah, because I have taught scuba diving since I was 18, I kind of knew exactly how we were going to die,
Oh,
and I knew the chances of us getting found were pretty slim.
yeah.
So I was really upset about that, but also very upset that I got one of my best friends into that
Oh,
situation with
yeah.
me,
Hmm.
because I was a more experienced diver. I taught him scuba diving, and now I just killed him, and I felt terrible. So to me, it's a good metaphor for anything in life. At any point, even though it seemed like the chances of us surviving were pretty slim, there's no option but to not give up.
Exactly.
And I think it's like anything you want in your life. If you want to choose to be happy, you want to choose to be successful, if you choose to, live the life of your dreams, it's going to be hard,
Hmm.
and there's no roadmap to it. So you're going to stumble and you're going to fall and you're going to make mistakes, but the only way to get there is not giving up. And so it's the same thing floating in the ocean. Just keep kicking,
Yeah.
keep kicking.
Very. That would have been quite the scary experience. I can't even imagine that. So, when you start a campaign or a protest, and it doesn't exactly lead to a positive change or it gets denied, how do you deal with that?
Um, so it's like this is more about being in the game than it is about winning.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good metaphor.
So all we need to do is kind of be involved in being the change that we want to see. Like there's successes that are happening all over the world, and there's devastating things that are happening all over the world.
Hmm.
And I think what could be a burden and what could overwhelm people is if they imagine it's like, oh, I've got to save this species by this date, and if I don't get the entire world to stop emitting carbon by 2015, then I'm a failure. That's not it at all. I think what it is to me is that it's like we're at war, and
Hmm.
instead of getting, feeling a sense of despair or hopelessness, like this is the first time in history where anyone can be a hero for an
Yeah.
ecosystem, for a species, for the future. Just pick what you love that comes from the natural world. It's in jeopardy, and find a way to fight for it. Use your talents for it, and make the world a better place. And we know about karma. We know doing good for other people is inherently good for ourselves, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and by engaging in trying to make the world a better place, you know, it's not going to be easy. We're not going to win right away, but that this becomes the challenge and the task of our lifetime, and from the center of that challenge is an immense opportunity to call out the best in us, to force us to grow, to be better people, to be nicer, to be more intelligent, and to understand more. So I think it's really not something to get to feel a sense of despair about. Like we're in the process of creating something profoundly beautiful that is going to usher in the next level of human evolution on this planet. Like, what does a 21st century human look like that's beneficial to the planet instead of destructive to the planet?
Exactly.
So I think as long as we're, headed in that direction and that's what we're thinking, then there are no real failures.
Mm-hmm. Gotta keep fighting. So, with technology becoming, more and more advanced every year, new things coming out all the time, we're increasing our carbon footprint, and we're traveling by planes and by cars and all this pollutive kind of travel. So, and it seems almost unavoidable the way our lifestyles are going. So, do you have any suggestions on how to reduce our carbon footprint?
Yeah. So whenever possible, use yourself as a mode of transportation. Burn your own calories, burn your own food as fuel, and bike and walk and run. You're going to be fitter, you're going to look better, you're going to be sexier, you're going to be happier, and you're going to, burn less carbon dioxide for the planet. When that's not available, try to choose methods of transportation that consume as little carbon as possible.
Yeah.
And that said, I'm sitting in a car right now, and I've just driven to a meeting in Los Angeles, and so that's kind of part of our predicament right now.
Exactly.
But that said, we know how to capture carbon. We know how to capture carbon in soil. If you converted 10% of the agricultural area in North America to a kind of farming that's biodynamic, that focuses on farming and bringing ecosystems and the species back, so diverse ecosystems, capturing carbon in the soil, getting all the microbes in the soil back that are necessary to produce more fruits and vegetables, and you'd capture enough carbon in the soil that we wouldn't have to worry about climate change and ocean acidification.
Wow.
And that's one simple thing we could do right now that would solve the problem.
Exactly. So, well, why do you think that we aren't doing that then? Like, what's the cause of that?
The understanding how to capture carbon in soils, and this is good for agriculture and for everyone, is pretty new.
Yeah.
This is only happening in the last year, so I'd expect to see a lot more of that. I think Dole, the pineapple company, is starting to do that exclusively. So there's some things going, but the reasons why we're not tackling the problems right now are that the destruction is so profitable. Like, if all you've got to do is take something from the environment and sell it to somebody, that's a pretty easy way to make money. It doesn't take a whole lot of genius to stick a straw in the earth and suck out oil, or to cut down forests and sell them to people. So it's easy and profitable to do that. It's going to take a bit of our genius to figure out how to guide ourselves to a more beautiful world, knowing that we have some of those systems in place.
Exactly. So, I'm in Canada right now, and during Revolution, you talked about how, the tar sands are an awful pollutive thing, and I had no idea that anything like this was happening in Canada, and I don't know anyone really that, had any idea that this was going on, and how it was voted, what you said in your film, how it was voted #1 by 40 different organizations, or whatever the specific was, that it's so environmentally pollutive. So why do you think that so many Canadians are uninformed about this issue? Because it's obviously a pretty big issue.
It's been pretty sneaky, to be honest. The tar sands just kind of snuck up on everybody. Growing up, Canada was a good country environmentally. We had national parks, and we had lots of wild spaces, and we protected them, and we had David Suzuki. But something happened. It seems to maybe coincide with, well, there's a lot that it coincides with, but it seems like our current government is just bent on profit instead of the environment. And despite the environment being one of the most important issues for young Canadians, the government is still burning fossil fuels and selling fossil fuels, and that's destroying the world we depend on for survival. So it's a government that's got its priorities in the wrong place, and a public that's not engaged enough to force that government out, or to get a new government in that does give a shit about the environment.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about the money, I guess.
It's all
So,
about the money. Yep.
yep. So, when you're traveling around the world, obviously you're on the move a lot. So, are there any specific things that you like to do to relieve stress if you get stressed out during travels or stressful times, even?
Yeah, I'll do yoga whenever possible.
Hmm.
It's kind of become a rule of mine to do physical activity every day, because that does literally prevent me from going crazy.
Yeah.
Um, it's really easy for me to work hard and long and consistently, and not come up for air, so to speak,
Hmm.
for long periods of time. And then I start to notice that I lose my happiness and my focus and
Yeah.
my center, and I drift away from the person that I know I am, that's amazing and kind and calm, and I kind of get into this like mode where I'm not happy. And
Yeah.
so something physical every day, it's hugely important. Like at least an hour
Hmm.
of running, walking, swimming, biking, playing a sport, something.
Yeah.
It's so important. And I know from the chemicals moving around in your body, it's good for you emotionally too.
Hmm.
Um, and I think other things like lying on the ground,
Yeah.
it sounds simple, but just literally, in cities and stuff, so often in winters, we kind of lose our connection with the earth.
Exactly.
And so whenever possible, walking bare feet on the ground, lying on the grass, and just kind of remembering what this is all about, and that this is an amazing place and an incredible opportunity to be alive at this time.
Exactly. That's a really like sobering thing to do, to kind of just get in touch with the earth again, feel the dirt and whatnot. So I can definitely
Mm.
understand that. So I have a pretty stupid question up next, but I thought I might as well include it. So
Hey, no stupid questions.
so Mr. Rob Stewart, would you rather have Cheeto dust permanently stuck to your fingers forever? You can't get it off. Or would you rather have a mosquito buzz next to your ear and you can't get rid of it? There's nothing you can do about it.
Cheeto dust
Like
on
like
my fingers forever,
yeah, like cheese puff kind of that orange stuff.
or a mosquito buzzing next to my ear forever.
There's nothing you can
Does
do
the
about it.
mosquito bite me?
Oh, I probably should have thought of that before I got in this interview. I'm gonna say no. The mosquito can't bite you. It's just gonna be the noise.
I'm down with a mosquito then.
All right, I have the same answer. I can't deal with that Cheeto dust. It's too uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's a lot you want to do with your hands. And
Exactly. You can't do it. Well, perfect answer. So, are there, back on a serious note, kind of now, are there any big projects that you have planned for the future that, you're allowed to mention to us?
yeah, I'm doing a seahorse love story next.
Oh,
There was kind of a trailer for the seahorse love story in
oh, I
Revolution.
remember that.
Yeah, the pygmy seahorse. So we're doing the pygmy seahorse's quest for love on the most dangerous reef on Earth as a 3D movie to educate kids about ocean acidification and position the seahorse as the poster child for saving the ocean.
Awesome.
And then we're doing a TV series about imagining the future. Like,
Hmm.
because I think if society is going to create something amazing and fight for something, we need to help them imagine what it could look like. So
Oh,
we're going to
very
make a
cool.
series about imagining a future that's amazing
Well, I
that we
can't
could
wait to watch
achieve.
those.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thanks.
That's
Me
very
too.
cool. So I kind of have one last question. So, what is your favorite species of shark? I have to say mine's the thresher. I love the huge tail. Caudal fin is just really cool. So, what is your favorite species of shark?
Mine, hammerhead.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
they're
pretty
just
cool.
so cool.
Why's that?
Because they're a recent evolutionary experiment. They're 70 million years old. They're shy. They're super hydrodynamic and agile, and they've got enormous sensory systems, far
Awesome.
bigger than other sharks.
Yeah, and they
So,
can like sense your heartbeat or something, even like from quite far away, can't you? Like human, they can sense human heartbeat, can't they?
yeah, for sure.
Oh wow, that's very cool. Well, that's about all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for doing this interview. It was very, I'm very honored to have interviewed you.
Thank you. I appreciate you helping us tell this story.
Yeah,
Thanks for bringing evolution to the world.
no problem. Like after seeing these films, I'm gonna be doing my best to help save the planet. I hope I can do okay.
Awesome. Well, just, get involved and get in over your head, because
Hmm.
by taking a giant step towards something like that, you kind of indebt yourselves to the process,
Exactly.
and that makes you make something beautiful.
Awesome. Well, very inspiring. So thank you very much. I guess I'll say goodbye.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
You too.
Okay. Bye.